Fairview is one of the most desirable communities to live here in the entirety of Vancouver, from the outstanding views to your access to the seawall to Granville Island and amenities as a whole. I'm going to be showing you why you should consider moving here into the Fairview area. I've sold many properties in this area, so I'm really excited to give you a deep dive of the community. We'll go into the maps, the demographics, and some of the hidden features of this community that make it so special. So Fairview is actually one of the first areas to be logged in the entirety of Vancouver. As you may not know, Vancouver was a massive rainforest full of timber, and this is where a lot of the timber management started to happen, and as they started to move forward with densifying Vancouver. So Fairview has roots back to the late 1880s. So what exactly is considered Fairview? So it's a little bit hard to see in my map, so I'm going to outline it. You can see Fairview here in the middle of my map, and there's this red dividing line showing you exactly the parameters. So what you'll see here is Burrard is one of the endpoints on the western side of Fairview. So it goes from Burrard all the way south to West 16th, and then east to Cambie, and then down to the water. And that's why Fairview is so amazing, because there's so much water access. From there, it follows the water and the seawall all the way around Granville Island, and then back to the Burrard Street Bridge and over that way. So there's a little bit, and there's different pockets that are better than others in Fairview. It's not a massive area, but when we look at the demographics, it's actually one of the more higher populated areas in the entirety of Vancouver. As with so many communities that are built onto the water, Fairview does have a deep slope, and even in the wintertime, there are some streets that are so steep they completely close the roads down for safety reasons. So you have this big slope that goes down to the water, essentially from Burrard all the way to Cambie, and the Fairview slopes, of what they're known for, have some of the best sight lines that you'll see. We'll bring up some of the drone B-roll footage here, but when you can live essentially from Broadway and north, you can be situated on these slopes and have these views that are complete of the water, the mountains, and downtown Vancouver. So it's a trifecta view. You have, like I said, water views, mountain views, downtown Vancouver city views. It is very, very dynamic, and some of the best sight lines that you can see when you're in those view cones. So when we look at Fairview, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. There's some deviations here in terms of what you can purchase. So all really close to the water here, from Cambie all the way to Burrard through Granville Island here. As we highlight on the water, you'll see, Lammy's Mill Road, which is highlighted here on the map. Most of this here is lease land. Most is on a city lease. So what does that mean? You actually don't own the property. You essentially are renting it. Usually they have 100-year leases, but people can sell them oftentimes, and there can be 30 years left on the lease or 20 years left on the lease. When you look for properties down in this section here in Fairview, you'll see that pricing can be almost half of what the market is producing. And whenever you see a property that is very, very advantageously priced, it's likely it is on city lease land or First Nations lease land as well. So when we talk about the best little spots in Fairview, the road that I like the best is 7th Avenue. And the reason why, it's because it's not a through road. You'll see that there's a little bit of a roundabout here, and then there's a cul-de-sac. I believe it's right here, right before Oak. You can see that there's a dead end here. So this is a very, very quiet street on West 7th, both on the east and west side of Oak Street. I currently actually have a property for sale in this beautiful complex here. This is a really famous cafe, the Wicked Cafe, right here. There's also a French restaurant right beside it. So in terms of walkability, it's amazing. West 7th. You can also see that you're a couple blocks away. You're right to the seawall. Being able to head out there to the seawall, head out to Granville Island is very easy. Obviously, the further north you are, the closer you have to that side of things. Personally, as you start to go further south past Broadway, this Broadway line area here is very busy. Obviously, there's a ton of construction with the train project right now. And then as you head further south, I feel like you lose the charm of Fairview. I feel like Fairview and the Fairview slopes is anything north of Broadway, and then north of West 8th and down. So in terms of Fairview itself, there's only a very small little pocket. I believe, from 6th to 8th in this pocket, from Oak to Cambie, is the best spot of Fairview. This really changes the dynamics as you get further south up here. There's still some beautiful places to live, but if you're wanting that Fairview experience, and what Fairview is known for, these beautiful cherry blossom lined streets, and you'll see that on West 8th and West 7th. You just go down, all these cherry blossoms are in view. There's a lot of nice historical buildings because it has a background till the late 1800s. There's a lot of character and charm. And then in terms of amenities around here as well, Just on the east side of Cambie, you have, Canadian Tire is here. Over here is Home Depot, Best Buy. Vancouver Police has a station right here, Whole Foods Market. And then on Broadway itself, you'll have all your banking needs, Scotiabank, TD Bank, shopping, all of that sort of good stuff. So if you can stay in this pocket here, that's just a little bit off both Cambie and Oak Street. These are the nice pockets here. Probably, anywhere from Hemlock all the way to, you want to be a little bit off Oak Street because it can be busy here as well. But these little pockets are very, very nice places to dive into when we talk about being able to take advantage of that. Charleston Park is a very, very popular park to take your kids. Great playground. I take my kids there all the time. It's massive. There's a dog park. You can unleash your dog there. They have some nice waterfalls and some water features in that area as well. And then because when you have such close access to the seawall, I mean, you can take your bikes out, and we can see as we zoom out here, having access to the seawall is just amazing. I mean, if you're in this Fairview area here, you jump into the seawall, Granville Island, you can get into downtown, you can take it all the way into Stanley Park, you can really make a day of it. So now when the sun is out, in the summer months, you can really get to anywhere in the city very quickly by bike. It's safe because you're on the seawall, you don't have to go on the streets, and you can see that you can just jump around to Kitsilano Beach and some of the nice beaches here, even Jericho Park if you take the seawall for a walk, or on the bike, and then into Olympic Village, which is right here. So what I love about Fairview is just its proximity, and again, you can kind of see the outline here with the red. Just to anywhere in the city. If you need to get out, you are just off Oaks or Granville Street and Oak Street here, where you can just fire down south to get out into Richmond, to get out into the valley. And then we zoom out here a little bit more. Like I mentioned before, we have a subway or a SkyTrain line here that will get you north-south. And then this Broadway line is going to continue to go west here. So on Granville right here, they're going to be putting a station here as well. That's going to go east and west, and another one on Cambie here to take you east and west. So in terms of walkability and future growth, this area is going to continue to pop off, and it's just so beautiful. We're going to jump into the demographics here, and I just wanted to show you that for demographics, this data has been taken from Statistics Canada and updated for 2021 by Environics Analytics. Census numbers usually happen every single 5 years, so these are a little bit old, but I just wanted to give you an overview of what we're looking at. So 2021 numbers: population in Fairview 36,531, population density per square kilometer 10,691. If you look at Vancouver as a whole, it's 5,844 on average, so you're almost doubly dense with the average numbers in Vancouver. Median age is 39.7 years old, and male-female ratio 1.2 to 1. Married couples is 59%. Families with kids at home 24%. Speak English only 83.8%. Speak French only 0.1%. That's not surprising. I would think that now with Fairview, the families with kids, this is going to be a lot higher. I think this median age is definitely still there. It's a lot of young working families in this area. When we look at the demographics of some of these items in terms of livability, they give it a 78, amenities A+, and that's what we spoke about. Anything that you need is completely walkable. You can put your car away. You have access to physio, to your hospital. Vancouver General Hospital is not too far away. Women's Hospital is not too far away. Schools, things of that nature. Commute A+, obviously we went over all of that. You can get anywhere to the city. Cost of living F, it is very expensive in Fairview. Fairview is not cheap by any means, and when I pull up these graphs here, I can just show you a quick average. So when we look at condos in Fairview, and this is just from April of 2025, average condo is $853,700, so just above the average on Vancouver's west side. And then when we look at townhomes in Fairview, $1,076,700 is the average townhouse price point. That actually is a lot lower than the average of 1.478 in Vancouver. So in terms of townhomes, they are a little bit cheaper on average, but keep in mind, some of these townhomes can be quite old. The newer builds in Fairview are expensive. I do have a townhouse for sale right now in Fairview. It's just over 40 years old, and we're listed at 1.365, so more in line with that average price point in that. So affordability, it's a very popular place to live, so obviously it's going to be expensive. You have quintessential Vancouver living, close to the water, close to the mountains, all the views, all the things that you want when you're looking to live, so that's not surprising that it's getting an F on cost of living. Crime is an F. I'm a little bit surprised with that. The only thing that I can think of, just because because it has that proximity to the Cambie SkyTrain line. Obviously around transit hubs, that's where you can get people who are, needing resources, that are homeless, things of that nature are usually huddle around that. Down in Olympic Village, there are a lot of SROs and items where they are housing individuals with mental health needs or drug addiction needs. So the crime, I don't know, I would not think from my own viewpoint, and people that live there are afraid by any means. So I am surprised it's an F, but some of these numbers are just based off of, reports and incidents that have taken place. So probably what's happened is because Broadway has a lot of shops, and because we have that close proximity to SkyTrain, maybe there's been a lot of theft, shoplifting, things of that nature. But in terms of violent crime or break-ins, it does not have a history or a reputation for that at all. Employment is A, and that's not surprising at all. There's a ton of doctors' clinics, physio clinics, small businesses. There's a lot of wide range to be able to work. Housing, B, beautiful places to live, health and safe. Safety measures A+, schools A+. As we get into the school numbers here, which is important, it has an A+ rating, 3% below the national average in average test score, 16% above the national average with high school diplomas, 109% above national average with bachelor degrees. You can see with these metrics here, these are more post-secondary data. This would be your, elementary school, middle school, high school. Catchment, I believe, for most cases here is going to be Kitsilano. And then in terms of the Fraser Institute, this is where I believe they're getting their rankings from. Blessed Sacrament Schools at 70. They have a French immersion school here at 68, and Falls Creek Elementary at 56 here is what you're looking at for schools. So now you have all the data that is needed in terms of making your decision for Fairview. We've given you the property pricing, the demographics, all that information, the ins and outs of where you should be living in this pocket and why it's so great. So if you have questions about that Fairview market or anything else, book a discovery call with me. All my information is in the description below, and I'll see you on the next one.